So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, or depending whether you're watching this right now or whether you're watching it on the various replays that will follow. My name is Chris Argent, and I'm the founder of Gen CFO, and I'm your host for Gen CFO Talks. And today we're going to be looking at how to manage cash flow in a world that won't sit still. And we're going to look at the world of cash flow and AI to see how this is all shaping up. Now, what we're trying to do with talks is have a really practical discussion about what you can do. One of the things that our community says to us is that, we've seen all the thought leadership, we've certainly seen all the hype, but what is it that we can do? What's happening on the ground? What isn't happening on the ground? Have a bit of a reality check. And that's what this session is all about today. Now, I would love you to get involved. So if you are here live, then take the opportunity to get involved, ask questions to the panel, ask questions to people who are here. You can do that in various different ways. You can react, so great to see all the emojis. You can chat amongst yourselves using the chat functionality. It's always nice to know where everybody's from in the world when we do these things. And also, you can ask the panel questions directly as well, either through the chat or through the QA functionality. And it's always a bit easier to find if you've got the QA functionality there. Just a bit of a note, this is going to be recorded, so you will have a chance to watch it again, whether it's via a partner or whether it's via our own community platform. And if we don't cover all the questions today, we will try to cover them on the Gen CFO community to make sure that everybody gets the answers they're looking for. So these sorts of things do not happen by themselves, and we certainly don't make progress without great partners. And today is sponsored by Agicap, leading cash flow forecasting software. It is a multi-functional tool for forecasting, scenario planning, and it will cover probably a lot of the things that you're looking for, and certainly a lot of the things that we're going to be discussing today. If you have your phones ready, you can use that QR code to check them out, more information about their products. And we have a great speaker from Agicap today as well. So if you have any questions, then make sure you ask them now. So I just want to scene set a little bit because, people talk about cash flow being king and cash flow chaos and, treasury management and all the various things that we can do. Then we talk about this world of AI and, AI potentially being a secret weapon or a productivity tool or something that we can use. But there's a lot of confusion about what can be done, what should be done, what the humans should be focusing on. And the way I sort of try to sum this up, just to give a bit of context, is that yes, there's potentially big rewards, but is there big risk? There's a great view from the top of Mountain AI when you've sorted all of that out on top of your treasury processes, when you've got it running your cash flow forecasting, when it's doing all of your cash pooling, great. But what about the risks? You know, what about the issues that we're going to have to lean into, whether they're technological, whether they're change and people focused? What are the risks? And how much are we prepared as humans to take on in terms of the risk or the use of AI? Because, humans are safest when they're sat in a chair, right? Probably like you are now. But, humans aren't built for that. Humans are built for endeavor and climbing up mountains, but there obviously is risk involved. So we're going to look at this with a great panel today and really dig into those two areas of, what we can do in the cash flow space, treasury management space to manage things better, and also what is coming in terms of AI and what we should be doing. So I'm going to introduce our panel and they're going to magically pop up on the screen as always. So we have Ajit Kumar, who's VP of Commercial Finance from DWI. We have James Kelly, who's co-founder of Your Treasury and previous head of Treasury at Pearson. And we have Nat, I'm going to call him today, Hobson, I am allowed, Head of Partnerships from Agicap. So, welcome, panel. Great to see you all. So, first question, and I'm going to come to you first. The things are changing all the time in finance, in the markets. When it comes to cash, it's always changing. It's always important. But what's sort of keeping you up at night in terms of treasury and cash at the moment?
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. In terms of what keeps up at night, it's always about talking about the SaaS business. It's always about the predictability and the unpredictable part of it. What I mean to say there is SaaS businesses will have chunky cash flows because by default we bill annual payment upfront. That's kind of a default. But then the timing is delayed renewals. That is unpredictable. You're still working on a renewal deal. You're keeping your customers happy, so providing them access, etc. But then you can't plan that cash flow to come in different periods. So that unpredictable part of SaaS business is always a challenge. What can we do about it? So what we have done in all the businesses, particularly in SaaS, what I have done is work very closely with the executives and then bring them on that journey to always look at cash runway. Bear in mind, cash runway is not equal to cash burn. These are two different terms which we use. Cash burn is effectively net cash that you have, more expenses than the income that flows in a period. But cash runway is with that cash burn, how long can you go? And can you make decisions? One is to conserve cash, and the other is be opportunistic because you don't want to be conservative about cash, keep it all, and not making the right investment in the right time.
Yeah.
So that will delay you from growing the business. So cash runway is all about, making decisions. So how do we bring all of these decision point under one umbrella
And
as
that
cash runway and make decisions easier?
and that's changing all the time, right? That's changing hour by hour, day by day. So it's no surprise that it's keeping you up at night. And obviously, you work in a SaaS growth organization. James, I'll come to you next. Did you feel that it was same sorts of headaches, things that were keeping you up at night when you were head of treasury?
So I think there are different dynamics in different businesses, and we see that particularly. So the business that I'm in now, your treasury, we help businesses in lots of different sectors, and effectively, the information that's in your treasury system is a tiny fraction of the information that you really need to understand what's going on. So typically, knowing an invoice date and knowing the date that it's received, that gives you information about what's happened, not why it's happened. If you want to know why it's happened, then you're looking for the lead indicators. You're looking for, like, are there disputes? Like, are you billing ahead of, like, on your payment schedule, but then maybe a project's delayed, that kind of thing. And so we see, if you look at something like an engineering firm or a kind of large manufacturing firm, house builders, all of that kind of thing, they've got really lumpy payments that are very dependent on kind of multiple factors. And so if you want to really understand what's going on there, then you're looking at kind of getting into the contact management systems, etc., really understanding, talking to people to kind of get the answers. Where you've got businesses that have got flow, lots of smaller transactions, it's much easier to use things like machine learning and that kind of thing, because then effectively you end up with more similarity in terms of the way that things behave.
Yeah, it's almost like the first business has loads of outliers, loads of big decisions, and that's not good when it comes to AI. And thanks for bringing in AI. But
and
then,
yeah, I mean, because the thing is that effectively in cash flow forecasting, actually what you're really interested in is the outliers, because the 9 days out of 10 where nothing really happens, no one really cares. I mean, you could basically have a forecast that says like 0 or just the average amount or whatever it happens to be. That's fine. Like, what you really care about is the day where there's a big outflow, and it's the day that payroll is happening as well.
yeah,
And then suddenly you've got a problem. And so it's all the kind of strategic stuff that isn't necessarily in a TMS, it's not in an ERP system, but someone turns around and goes, oh, we've got to make that one-off payment to Brazil for tax on a dividend that was made 9 months ago, and we've got to do it by Tuesday. And you're suddenly there going, oh